All right, there we are. Praise God. We are live now, and we're going to give people a moment to start signing on. I see people are already coming on, so thank you so much for coming on. Go ahead and hit those hearts. Share your page real quick, and we want to give everybody at least a few minutes to sign on, and make sure you tell somebody that this is their time for financial empowerment tonight with Bishop Smith and the panel that I have assembled tonight from various areas of the financial arena. So go ahead, come on, let's get as many people on as quickly as we can. I know I wasn't on last night for Wednesday in the Word, so you get your Thursday in the Word tonight, and it's just going to be financial empowerment night. And we want to make sure we get a chance to ask all of our questions tonight and get some biblical guidance and financial guidance as to what we should and should not be doing with our money. We want to be kingdom smart. And so we want to be biblically based, theologically sound, but we also want to be smart with our finances. So as you are sharing your page and hitting those hearts, just keep hitting those hearts. I know you hit them one time, but hit them like you love Jesus. And that way you really want to get people out of financial entrapment. We want to avoid all of the traps and trickery of the enemy when it comes to our money. This is part of breaking the chain. We sing it on Sunday, but we really want to break some chains tonight. We want to talk about breaking yokes. We want to break some yokes tonight. So come on, help me get as many people on as possible who may have questions, whether you are single, whether you're married, whether you're retired, whether you're young, whether you're old, whatever your status in life is, whether you're just getting into the workforce, whether you're starting a business, whether you're thinking about starting a business, come on, get those people on tonight, and we'll see how many people we can get on to our financial empowerment. You don't have to be a member of Union Grace Church to be on tonight. Just have a mindset to want to be able to follow the principles and precepts of God as it relates to his word. And so we're going to get ready tonight to get started. And then I'm just going to let other people naturally get on. I've been advertising this all day that we need to be on tonight as quick as possible. And so I'm grateful tonight to have with me this assemble a panel tonight who is with us. And I'm going to let them in their own way introduce themselves as we get ready to get in. I'm going to serve as the host tonight. I'm usually running my mouth all the time talking. So I'm going to try to just be the host tonight and allow our panel to come in and discuss the various aspects of our financial world tonight. If you have questions that you have not submitted prior to this time, I do have some preliminary questions that were submitted. You can go ahead and put those questions in the chat tonight about anything financial. And we have everybody from accountants to CPAs to entrepreneurs to lawyers on the phone tonight to credit repair, everything we need to know. I believe we can get it done in the time that we have together. So I was just giving people a few more minutes to sign on for this financial empowerment session. And we thank God for you, those of you who are on YouTube, Facebook Live, or Twitter, Instagram, or wherever else we are tonight. All right, let's get started tonight with a word of prayer. And I think that's always appropriate to invite the ultimate financial guider into our finances tonight, and that is God. So let's pray. Father, we love you and we thank you tonight that you have put on our hearts tonight to come together as your people and to empower one another with the knowledge and the wisdom you have given us individually to help other people in the kingdom to escape the traps of poverty and to escape uncertainty and to escape fear and trepidation and all kind of trickeries of the enemy tonight. And Lord God, tonight we rebuke Satan. We rebuke the enemy who has kept your people in bondage for too long. And God, we serve tonight almost like Moses did to the Israelites, to go down to Egypt and tell Pharaoh to let his people go. And so, God, we know that that was a rough time, that the financial bondage, Pharaoh would not release the people tonight. And so we pray tonight, God, that whatever we have to do to break yokes and chains tonight, we ask that you give us power tonight to do that. And then, God, we ask that you speak through each panelist tonight, that you will give them wisdom, guidance, and knowledge to help us as we move forward to begin to free people in the ways that you see fit. God, we love you and we give you all honor and praise belong to you tonight. That your name be glorified through all we do. In Jesus' name, we do pray. Amen. All right. God bless you tonight. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your page, and go ahead and hit somebody else who's on. And I know I've tried to give people enough time to get home from work. And I know you might be a little tired or whatever, but go ahead and get your stuff together. I just want to jump right in tonight and not waste any of this precious time and this precious resources of people we have tonight. And so we are coming up on a tax season, and Christmas is around the corner, and all the holidays are coming. And so let's start, first of all, with Lisa Howes, and we'll get her to jump in tonight, introduce herself, and she'll talk a little bit about preparing for this season that's coming up. Lisa, what do we do as we get the holidays are coming up upon us? And hey, I've been running through my money all year. So, what is your advice to me and to people prior to the holiday season? Because this seems to be a time when most people get into the most financial problem. So I'll start with you tonight, Lisa, and you can introduce yourself or any way you want to, and then answer that question or get us kicked off. Okay.
All right, very good. Good evening, everyone. I am Lisa Howes. I am a member of Union Grace Missionary Baptist Church, and I am a CPA by profession. I have, from a financial empowerment standpoint, more than 15 years ago, I created a financial empowerment CD called Raining Day: How to Master Money and Buy Back Your Freedom. And so one of the things I want to do is just kind of lay a foundation as it relates to money management. I know that's the main topic that I was asked to speak on tonight. And you may be used to hearing the 10-10-80 rule, which means give 10% to God, save 10% for yourself, and manage the other 80%. But that's not the way I'm going to talk about it tonight, because I could share with you the how and the what, but what we really want to understand is why. Why do you need a budget? I really don't even want to talk about the word budget. I'd rather put it in the terms of a priority spending plan. So we're going to use some new language tonight, because it's really about setting your priorities and determining what's most important. And so, like the pastor alluded to, we are coming upon the holiday season, and sometimes we put certain things ahead of other things because we feel the pressure of having to meet this obligation to give to our children what we may not have received when we were growing up. And so I want people to think tonight. I'm not going to give you a whole lot of numbers. I'm happy to answer any specific questions you may have. But what I want you to think about, and what my goal is to take you from E to E. Now, wait a minute. You said E to E, not E to Z, not E to F. Yes, E to E. I want to take you from earning to enjoying. So you're going to earn your money, and I want to teach you how to enjoy it. But there are some steps in between that you're going to need to do. And so I'll quickly run through those so that you know exactly what those 6 steps are. The things that you could do with money are earn it, return it, keep it, grow it, protect it, so that you can enjoy more of it. And so as we get into the conversation tonight, I just wanted to lay that groundwork for you. And to your question, Pastor, when it comes to the holidays, again, it's about setting priorities. And then we'll stop there and allow others to have their opportunity to introduce themselves and speak. But that's the foundation for tonight. Is that sufficient?
All right. Yeah, we're going to get everybody in, Lisa. And so I think you said 6 things. So could you run over those again for me?
Absolutely. So the first one is earn it. When you think about money, there's a couple of ways for you to earn it. Either you're going to work for someone, so you're trading time for money, or you're going to have your own business where you're leveraging the time, efforts, and energies of others to help you to earn money in your business. Sometimes when people want to earn more money, they'll go out and get a second job. And so I want us to kind of think differently about how we use our time in order to earn additional money. When I say return it, I mean returning unto God what he has lent to us. And so it is a personal honor for me to be able to give back to God what he has given to me. And over the years, I've seen a direct proportion to my income earnings and the level of my tithes. And so I am sold out and committed to returning unto God what he has returned to me. Because what I found is that for when we may say that we are not able to tithe or we don't have enough money to tithe, God has a way of turning our not enough into more than enough. So that's why it's important to return. When I say keep it, keep some for yourself. I was just speaking with someone the other day, and when we talked about how I set aside 10% for the Lord, it's without question that I would set aside 10% for myself. And so the whole thing is that it's not about how much you make, but how much you keep. See, you can have $100,000, earn $100,000 a year, or you can only earn $10,000 a year. But if you're the type of person who spends $110,000 and the other one is spending only, $8,000 and saving the other two at $2,000 and, giving God his share, then who's going to be ahead at the end of the year? The person who kept some for themselves. When I talk about growing it, that's investing, understanding how to invest and grow your money. The number one job for your money is to give it an assignment, and that is to go out and make you more money. That's the purpose of money. You don't just work for it, you cause it to work for you. When we talk about protecting it, it is about making sure that you have insurances, making sure that you've created your will to protect all of the wealth that you've accumulated over your entire working life, leaving something for your children and your children's children. That's the charge that God has given all of us. And so when you do those things that are in between, you can enjoy more of your money. But see, what happens is people go from earning it to wanting to enjoy it. It's like, I'm going to buy the biggest car I can find, the biggest house I can find. I'm going to party on the weekends. And, and it's like, oh, back to work on Monday and I got to do it all over again. So what I want to help us to do is to not go from E to E in 2 steps, but go from E to E in those 6 steps that I just shared.
All right, Elisa, I love that. That is powerful. And so I wrote that down for myself as well.
Yes, sir.
I love that. All right, let's move on to just getting Reverend Aaron in here and kind of talking about that, Reverend Aaron. That same question I kind of dealt with. I'm trying to get ready for the holidays, and let's start with that piece and how do I avoid the trap, because Christmas coming up and I gotta buy everybody and everybody back out. The pandemic they're gonna be over my house this time for Christmas. So I need to have something under the tree. What's your take on that whole getting prepared for that part of the season? Then we'll get into some other stuff.
Yeah. So first of all, I would tell them Christmas comes the same time every year, and most people are going to realize that they are not prepared for it again. But let's back up and let's talk about what Lisa talked about. Again, as Bishop just said, Aaron Thomason, representative, CEO and founder of Level 3, where we believe that clarity breeds confidence, where if you understand who you are, where you are, and ultimately where you want to go in the next 6 to 12 months of your life, then you can take the next step with confidence for sustainable success. So if we just take that framework, right, to have that clarity, is Christmas and what it's going to cost you to do this, is this propelling you to your goals for the next 6 to 12 months? And I think everybody has to be honest about that. If that's not what's propelling you in the next 6 to 12 months to get closer to the goals that reside in your mind that you want to be your reality, then we need to be able to have some tough conversations. Because here's one thing that the pandemic has taught us. when we thought that you would catch COVID by going too close to the window, couldn't nobody come by your house. You was having real tough conversations. Hey, I don't know where you been. I don't know what you're doing. I know I miss you, but you can't come by my house. We didn't have no problem hurting people's feelings because we didn't want to catch COVID and we didn't know nothing about it. Now, I just want us to answer the question, do you know them same people that you about to be breaking your neck to get something for that you told couldn't come to your house, that you wasn't willing to make no sacrifice? Why are we going to do that now? It could be because we don't have the clarity of who we are, where we currently are in our life, and ultimately where we want to go. Because if I'm living, as Lisa talked about, and I haven't gone through my 6 steps and I'm living check to check, I'm very clear on who I am and where I am. You can't come by my house for no gifts. Now you can come by and eat, I'm gonna do that, but you can't take nothing with you because I need some leftovers too. Like, we got to be clear and be honest. And the pandemic allowed us to be honest about where we were, and now we getting ready to outside open back up, and we getting ready to start lying again. And then we're gonna be asking God to deliver us from all these lies we told for Christmas, trying to be generous, and then say, Lord, can you do it? And we go through the same cycle again. But I'm gonna stop. We got other people who need to talk.
No. I love that. That's awesome. And I just thought we just need to have a brief conversation about that. And so then, as we move kind of through the calendar year, Anita, we kind of get to the point where after Christmas is over, we're in this panic to get them refund checks. So can you talk to us a little bit about, what we can expect this tax season? People got stimulus checks. What's coming up with that? Unemployment running out for some, and they might be at the end of unemployment, or some other people may have gotten PPE loans, business loans. What are their taxes going to look like? I know that's a loaded question, but just do the best you can with the time we have to kind of give us an idea of what we should be expecting. Okay, and then introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Anita Egger. I'm a member of Union Grace, and I am the owner of Haynes Malphus and Davis and Guiding Light Tax Service, where we've been providing services to individuals, nonprofits, and businesses for the last 16 years. So thank you for this opportunity to be a part of this panel. And that question was very loaded. It's probably a 3-day seminar in terms of the wealth of information that can be shared. But in a nutshell, as we look at the stimulus package, many people did receive the stimulus depending on the level of income that you had. So for the most part, anyone that had under $75,000 was sure to get some dollar amount. So there were 3 stimulus payments, a $1,200, $600, and a $1,400 provided at different times. So in terms of the stimulus payment on your tax return, the good thing about that is that it was not taxable. So that was a non-taxable contribution. Now, some people may not have received it because they had not filed either a 2019 or 2020 return. The good thing is that on your 2020 return, you can file to receive that stimulus payment if you have not filed it yet, for the $1,200 as well as the $600 payment. The $1,400 would be for 2021. One other thing for 2020 is that many people received unemployment, and it was a significant dollar amount this year because of the pandemic. A lot of people were unable to work. So the government did enact a law in March of 2021, which allowed us to exclude up to $10,000, $10,200 from our income for 2020. So that was good, and we were all gracious for that. The only trick was that if you filed your return before March 11th, you paid the full amount of tax. And so many people now are waiting for the IRS to actually make the necessary changes to refund any overpayments because of that. So we have a lot of people are still waiting, even though taxes were due earlier this year. Many people still have not received those refunds, unfortunately. So if you did file returns with unemployment and you paid the full amount of tax, guess what? You have some money coming, hopefully soon. So maybe as we talk about things that you can do with, additional income, maybe you can identify a way to use that unexpected check that's on the way.
Okay.
In terms of, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was trying to get through the list of things that you talked about. The PPP loan, which is also not taxable. However, you have to make sure that you met the qualifications for forgiveness. So everyone was excited about getting the PPP. And now you have the government, the SBA, going back to say, hey, were you supposed to get that money? Even though they went through the checklist, you provided all your documentation. Now they're doing a relook at it, and sometimes you may find that you did not qualify. So they are working to identify those, and it may turn from unforgivable to an actual loan. So you just have to be mindful of that. And I think that was all of your. Now for upcoming taxes, we do have some bonuses for 2021. Some people that have children from ages 0 to 12 qualify for a child tax credit. So that means that they are giving 1/2 of the money. It's up to $3,600 if the kid is 0 to 2, I believe, or 0 to 5. And if they're 6 to 12, you get $3,000. Well, the IRS is basically giving you 50% of that up front beginning in July. So many people have started to get some unexpected checks in the mail beginning July 15th, and it's the 15th of each month through December. So the IRS, if you have not received it, there is a tool that you can go to the IRS website to update your bank account information and to make sure that you qualify, because you may have some money sitting somewhere that you can qualify for. So check out the IRS website. The other part of the child tax credit will be refunded or paid on your tax return. The other beautiful benefit is those people that do have small children, that they are now going back to work and they're paying for childcare. The IRS has increased some of those benefits, and it's now refundable. Before, you could only reduce your tax liability. Now they're going to pay you out cash for some of those benefits. So that's some of the good changes that are happening this year in taxes.
All right. That's a lot. And you just put your information in the chat so people know how to reach out to you, because I'm going to see if Tracy and I are going to have another child. So I can get some tax credits.
Well, I'd like to add on to that. I know that Anita mentioned the ages 0 through 12. The IRS actually did extend the age limit up to age 17 for children who may be in your household that you would qualify to receive the child tax credit.
Okay.
And let's see. So, so I just wanted to let people know that as well.
So
you said it's up to age 17.
Up to age 17, correct, Neat?
For the child tax credit?
Yes.
Then the separate credit that's 0 to 12 is for dependent care. So if you're paying for, kids to go to daycare, it's limited to 12, because if they're 17, the thought is that you need someone to watch your kids while you're working. So, 14, 15, 17, they're able to watch themselves, hopefully. So the IRS has an age limit from 0 to 12 for the dependent care. But you are right, for child tax credit, it is up to 17.
Yes. And the child does not have to be your biological child to qualify for those credits. So you may have a cousin or niece that's living in your household that you're caring for. If you have that information for them, you can qualify to receive those dollars for those children who are in your home that you're caring for.
All right. Okay. Well, that's awesome. We're gonna let me get pushing, because we got a lot of information to get through tonight. And just to say, okay, so Christmas has come, and Tamika, I ain't got no money, so I want my credit to be right for the Christmas season. And I'm gonna try to go through Lisa's 6 steps, but I got these credit cards, or I want to get a credit card. Just kind of walk me through a little bit of what we need to do to start getting our credit together. And let me just say, Tamika, I just got my first credit card in April this year. And so I hadn't had a credit card. Yeah. So I got 4 credit cards. They keep sending me all these
That's
offers.
good. That's all you need. Stop there. Don't get no more. That's it.
Don't get no more. All right.
Don't get no more.
All right. So go ahead and talk to us a little bit about getting our credit together, about our credit score, and a little bit about credit repair. And go ahead and introduce yourself.
Okay, awesome. I think I'm just like everybody else when I can, this could be like a 3-day seminar, literally just on credit. My name is Tamika Key, and I am a credit repair consultant, an independent business owner with United Wealth Education, who is in partnership with United Credit Education Services. And what we do is of course, the credit repair is our flag star product or service. But we do offer financial literacy products as well to go along with it. Because we want to show you and teach you how to maintain and to manage and to keep your credit in a good place. So piggybacking on the whole Christmas time, this time of year, sometimes I just feel like I could just pull my hair out because you'd be so surprised about literally how uneducated people are about credit. And it's not their fault. They don't teach us this in school at all, anywhere. I've been to public schools, private schools, doesn't matter, urban, rural, it doesn't matter. They don't teach this stuff in schools. And half the time our parents don't know either. But on to this credit thing about the holidays coming up, listen, or just any time. I cringe because every store, I don't care online or in person, every store has some kind of offer to entice you, to rope you in, to get credit that you really do not need. And it's going to really hurt you in the present and in the future. So you'll go to the store and they'll say, listen, if you apply for this credit card today, whether you get approved or not, we'll give you 20 to 30% off your bill now. People go, oh, okay. And because the key word is, whether you get approved or not. Now, you already know when you got bad credit and you know you got good credit. So you already know when you gave that lady your information, your social number, your license or whatever to run your credit, that you're not going to get approved. But all you got in your mind is saving that $10 off that bill, which is insane. Every time someone runs your credit, that is called an inquiry. An inquiry will cost you 20 to 30 points every time you do that. Okay. You don't want to get into that trap. It's really bad. So you definitely want to avoid those kind of situations with credit. Credit is to be used because you certainly have to use credit in order to build a credit score. So that's why I kind of laughed when Reverend said, I finally got a credit card after years. You definitely need it. Some people, when I talk to them, they be like, oh, I don't have no credit cards. They say it so pridefully, like it's such a good thing. And I'm like, well, that's probably most of the reason why you have a low credit score. Okay. So your credit score is basically, it's a summary of your credit report, a credit history, like a report card. So just like in school, when you first come to class, the teacher, she don't know you. She don't know about your study habits, your grades, or anything, right? But by the second semester, she pretty much know you and what's going on with you. That's kind of how lenders use that credit score. They use that credit score to benchmark how much can you borrow, how many months do you have to repay, how much will it cost you in interest rates and so forth. So I'm telling you, having your credit score in a healthy, good place, your credit literally determines the quality of your lifestyle. Okay, so it is not a joke.
What do you consider a good credit score? I'm sorry for cutting you off.
725 and up.
What'd you say?
725 and up. That's a good credit score. Yeah. And I'm telling you, people, they're under the guise that they believe that, if I have a 6 something or whatever. And see, the thing is, these days, it's not an issue of you not being approved. They're going to approve you. I don't care what it is. You see billboards, commercials all day long that say no credit, no problem, bad credit, no problem. Just come on in or just email us or whatever have you. It's no problem for them, but it's a huge problem for you. Okay. If your credit score is below that 725, you are paying interest rates that are through the roof, which is money. Interest rates, think of that as dollar signs. That's literally money out of your pocket. So just say for an example, if you purchase a vehicle, say that vehicle, the ticket price on that vehicle is $25,000 for that car. and you have a credit score of 584, and they go ahead and give you a loan after they ran your credit 25 times. So take a note of that. First of all, they finally found somebody to pick you up. Now you've turned that, not what, because you're such a high risk with such a low credit score. Now you're going to be 14, 20, 25% interest rates. So you're going to turn the ticket price on that car from 25,000 into 40,000, just like that, literally. So people don't understand. People are so concerned about, what's my car note going to be? Can I afford the car note? No, you need to look at the whole life of that loan. Okay. So I'm telling you, it's so complex. And the thing about credit is, all is not lost. You know, there are ways that you can build your credit, certainly. Just like you're penalized for not managing properly, like making late payments, defaulting on loans and things of that nature, having your credit utilization way above 30%. There are ways you can reverse that. And it doesn't take a long time either, you know. So again, you can turn that thing around. That's what my service comes in. We can help you get those things disputed and deleted. Get as many things as we can deleted off of your credit history. Because one thing about it, that's probably the biggest myth in the world. Nothing just falls off your credit report. I don't care if it's 7 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old. It don't just go away. That's a lie. It's going to sit there. Even if it's paid, it'll say collections paid. It'll say charge off paid, but it's still there. The idea is that you don't want it there so that when lenders look at it, they don't see it, because they don't care if you didn't pay it. In their minds, if you didn't pay it then, what makes me think you're going to pay me now? So you want to get those things off.
Right.
And then once we work to help you to get those things deleted, then now you can start to rebuild. And like you said, Reverend, open up, get new credit and treating that properly, keeping your utilization. That means your credit limit. So keeping that usage of that below 30% to stay in a good place. You got a question?
All right. So you said something I want to highlight. I got pulled in to me because Apple got a titanium credit card. I thought I had to have it. So, you hit it. That's the last one I got. It was titanium. I just said I got to get it.
They do that. Listen, the credit card companies are just like the casinos. Everything is light, bright, shiny, enticing you to come on in and come get it, and people think credit is free money. That's not free money, it's not. That is cash money, And since I said that, debit card, just because your debit card say Visa on it or American Express, that is not credit. So that is not helping you to build your credit at all. Okay, it has to be a legit credit card. Okay. So
all right, we're gonna get into some more of that. I know what you're saying. That's why I said this is a financial empowerment session, and we need a series. I understand, because these are a lot of things. I appreciate that. But let's just say, okay, I got my credit together, Nancy, and now I want to get a house. That's my goal for the new year. What kind of things could you help me out with? Should I stay a renter? What is the market doing now? How do I become a homeowner? What things do I have to have in my ducks in a row to do that, if that's my goal going into 2022? Okay.
Okay. My name is Nancy Williams. I have been in the real estate industry for 21 years. Started with residential, commercial leasing, and went to investing, then property management, and I've been a licensed realtor in the state for 15 years. So purchasing a house, definitely, if that's something that you want to do, strongly advise it. However, the mistake that a lot of people make when they have the idea to purchase a house is they contact a realtor first. You should never contact a realtor first. You need to contact your financial advisor or your credit repair person. You only will make a contact with a realtor or even someone selling their house after you find out how much house you can afford. The biggest mistake in real estate is that people get a grand idea. I want to purchase a house. I want to purchase an investment property. I want to buy and flip something. And they call a realtor. We're not the last person to call, but we're near the bottom of the list. You have to have your finances in order before you even make contact with the realtor, because we don't know how much you can afford. And so all of the information that you received prior to even bringing me on was is where you need to start. You need to assess your financial situation. You need to talk to as I mentioned, your financial advisor, check your bank account, check your credit score, and get those ducks in a row before you even make any kind of contact with the realtor. Because a lot of people jump head first and say, oh, well, I know my credit score, when they're looking at Credit Karma and different things like that, instead of knowing what their FICO score is. And I'm hoping that one of our financial people will touch on that for some people, because they're like, well, I looked at Credit Karma and they don't know the difference between a Vantage score and a FICO score. And so that can make or break everything with real estate. So you want to buy a house, then I would tell you to contact Lisa, Anita, Tamika, in whatever order before you even call someone like me.
Okay. I love
I
that.
can break that down.
I
can break that FICO down and that Vantage down.
Okay, go ahead, Tamika, real quick, because I'm
Okay,
get the
good.
rest of the panel in.
Okay, cool. Okay, yep. So first of all, the FICO, the FICO system is most commonly used. About 90% of lenders use that. But when it comes to mortgages, a lot of mortgage lenders tend to use the Vantage model. So the FICO model is considered, or is derived by your credit score is calculated using 5 different factors: payment history, credit utilization, length of credit, new credit inquiries, and then your type of credit or your mix of credit. Okay, so you want to have those, and they're not equally. It's not like they're 5 is like 20. No. It's different. So the largest portion is the payment history, believe it or not. That is how well you pay. Do you pay on time? Avoid late payments completely. A late payment is just as bad as like having a bankruptcy on your credit report. Literally every late payment can cost you like 50 points, literally. And certainly you don't want to default on a loan. That means you just completely abandon it. The second largest portion is credit utilization. That accounts for 30% of how your credit score is derived. That again, that's where you want to keep that sweet spot, or that number. Remember that number, 30%. That means whatever your credit limits are, you don't want to go over 30% utilization. So if you have a $3,000 credit limit, at no given time, you want to spend over $900 on that card. Okay. The third portion is the length of credit. That accounts for 15% of how your credit score is calculated. Never close a credit account. That's number one. The longer you have credit open, or like that history from it, the better. Okay. So people, they get excited when they're like, okay, I finally paid off this credit card. I've been paying on this credit card for 3 years. Now I want to just close it. No, keep it open. Now that you got it back, now that you got that balance down to zero, use it, pay it, use it, pay it. That's how you build your credit score. The fourth is new credit inquiries. That accounts for 10% of how your credit score is derived. Again, every time you let someone run your credit, that's costing you points. You want to make sure that's pretty much the number of inquiries that you have open within a 12 to 18 month period. Okay. So again, you don't want to be excessive. So like you said, Reverend, you seen that titanium. You was like, oh, I want that one. I want that one. People just applying for credit all over the place. That's damaging you. Last and final is the type of credit. So you want to have a great mix of your installment loans versus what we call revolving. So your installment will be like your student loan payments, car payments, mortgage payments. It's like fixed amounts of payments. Then you have the revolving, which will be like your credit cards. That accounts for the other 10% of your of how your credit score is derived. So again, if you look at that FICO model, you want to really, really concentrate and do all your might to keep that credit utilization under 30% and to definitely keep that payment history in check. Don't make those payments late, make them on time, and certainly do not default on a loan if at all possible. The last thing I'm going to say about this FICO, or trying to help you keep that in check, contact your financing companies, your lenders. Ask them 2 things. Ask them when their grace period date is, and then ask them when they report to the credit bureaus. Usually there are 2 different dates. That will help you. We understand sometimes life happens. You're not prepared. Something happened, and something has to be late. But I would much rather be late in the eyes of that lender and pay maybe like a $25 fee or whatever have you, than to have a hit on my credit score or history. Okay. So again, ask those 2 questions. what their grace period is, and when do they report to the credit bureaus. They're usually different, so you'll know how to govern yourself accordingly.
All right. Thank you, Tamika. That's a lot of information, and I know we can't get everything in tonight. And so I've got to pay off 2 of my credit cards coming up. So, I hear what you're saying. That's good. Now let's just say, Tracy and June, we are getting ready to we're thinking about, should we go into bankruptcy? Tracy, should we file for it? When should I look at bankruptcy at all? When is it a good option to look at bankruptcy? And I'll let Tracy do that. And then we'll kind of talk about launching entrepreneur ideas, and we'll talk to June in a little bit about that. So Tracy, what do you want to talk about? Some of our legal ramifications for people who might be older, they may be considering, hey, I didn't been carrying this debt too long. I'm 76 years old. I want to get rid of all this debt. What should they do? Or, I'm 25 and I just messed up the first 5 years of my 20s and I got all this debt. Should I file for bankruptcy, or what should I do in that regard? So let me hear from Attorney Tracy Smith, who is also First Lady.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here this evening. Thank you for having me and asking me to be a part of this panel. I know I'm looked at as the odd man out because in the context of doing financial repair or budgeting and planning and getting yourself together, I am coming from a legal perspective in regards to bankruptcy. What I wanted to mention in regards to bankruptcy is that bankruptcy is set up under a federal code, federal law. So it's a federal thing. You have to think United States. It's not a state law. It's a federal law. And under there, within the bankruptcy code, there are chapters, chapter 7, chapter 11, 12, and 13. So chapter 7 is what is for the individual to get a fresh start. And I know a lot of people think of bankruptcy as a last resort, but sometimes you need to think of it as a fresh start. If the budgeting didn't work and you're in a bad place, or if your credit has gone awry, you have too many credit cards, you have too many consumers, all your interest rates are too high, you can barely make ends meet. Bankruptcy chapter 7 may be the best bet for you because it actually is designed to give you a fresh start. Chapter 11, I really don't do chapter 11 because I feel you can basically go over to a Tamika and get your credit repaired, because that's what a chapter 13 does. It's a rehabilitation where the trustee who's assigned to you helps you pay your bills, meets with the creditors, maybe gets them lowered, and this, that, and the other. And either you can discipline yourself or you can go to a credit agency like Tamika Key, and do a chapter 13. However, a chapter 7, that is just a fresh start. And one thing I wanted to mention, someone asked, or you mentioned, Bishop, when is a good time? Now is a good time. And I'm going to tell you why now is a good time. When you start getting sued, if you watch the system, they've already sent you letters. You should have shown up to court. You should have. Most of the times that when people come to me, they just ignore it. They just totally ignore it, and they get a default. Then they get a default judgment, which is the worst. That means that person has won against you. And no matter what you say, whatever terms they come up with for you to pay, you're going to pay. But they don't ever get to talk to you. So what they do is, once they won, they have the court give them permission to garnish you. When do they garnish? Tax season. When you start getting refunds, they are coming after your money. So now would be the time to file a bankruptcy to get those defaults gone, to get those credits gone if you meet the criteria for Chapter 7. So now would be a good time to answer your question to file. What do you need? If your income is below the median income for the state, household income. So one person, I think the median income may be $54,000 in the state of Michigan. If you make less money than that and you can't pay your bills, you need to consult with a bankruptcy attorney to get a fresh start. Then If you get your fresh start, you can get with the Lisa Howes and make a budget, or the Tamikas, and get your credits and things of that nature, so you can prepare to buy your house. So that's how I sort of look at it. Most of the time, if you're under that threshold, you probably will get your debts discharged. You cannot get all of your debts discharged. Like I started the conversation, this is federal. So federal taxes that you owe, you're going to pay them. Federal student loans that you owe, you're going to pay them. It's a high bar, very high, and you have to petition the court a totally different way to get those gone. There are some successes, but the rule of thumb is if you, over your lifetime, will never be able to pay those back, they will discharge them. If there's any chance that you have some sort of income to pay them back, you will not get them discharged. So if you think of it as that extreme.
So I like. Oh, we lost you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So what you're saying, Tracy, is that chapter 7 is for the fresh start. You don't recommend chapter 11 and 13. Is that what you're saying? And that they could go to Tamika and Anita and Lisa and the rest of them and get their stuff together. Okay? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying chapter 7 is a fresh start. Chapter 11 is for businesses. I have not touched on that, and I will not, because it's not relevant to what we're doing this evening. Chapter 12 is for farmers, and I don't feel that, or I wasn't notified that we would have those people in our broadcast. And so then there's the chapter 13, which is when you pay everybody back, so to speak. And so it's a 3-year process, and you give the trustee money. So I just recommend, in most situations, people, if they qualify, they can do a chapter 7.
Okay. All right. I like that, because some people just may be drowning. They may be, some of the time we have our seniors, they just got so much debt over them. They don't know what to do. They're throwing their hands up and trying to figure out, what do I do at this age in my life? And I've got all these creditors still calling me, and we want to try to guide people no matter where they are. Maybe they didn't get the budget together. Maybe they didn't get their credit together, but they're sinking down in that. All right. Let's
me just
move on
say
to
one
some of
other
our
thing. If you don't mind, Bishop,
Okay.
let me just say one other thing. And Tamika can come behind me if she needs to. One positive about a chapter 7, soon as we file, like the moment we file, because it's all electronic, creditors will stop calling you, period. It puts everybody stops for every credit that you have, period. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what my clients have indicated to me is that immediately credit companies are trying to reestablish their credit. And maybe Tamika will know why, but it's phenomenal. Like within days of it hitting the bankruptcy court, people are trying to help them reestablish or get credit. So I just wanted to point out those two things about filing bankruptcy or chapter 7. Thank you.
Well, they're really not trying to help. They're really trying to get them back track again. They're really not trying to help them, to be honest. They see they got a clean slate, and they basically look like sitting ducks, because now they like, oh, I'm free. And sometimes, unfortunately, once again, because of lack of knowledge, they feel free, and then they act, when people act like, oh, okay, so now I can just run it up, So they purposely go after people that have suffered in the past, like that with bankruptcy and things like that. I love you, Tracy, but I don't like bankruptcy at all. Because listen, once that bankruptcy is on your credit history, is it possible to get it removed? Yes. Is it probable? No, it is not. First of all, it has to be discharged at least 2 years to even be considered, to even be disputed, to be deleted off your credit card. I used the analogy with a bankruptcy bill on your credit report is like having a blood stain on your white blouse. That thing ain't coming out. I don't care what you do to it. Like it really damages. And so on that, I guess I had a question for you to kind of help people with that decision to file bankruptcy. What is the bar, or how much debt should they be in to even think about? Because I have clients and I'm like, why did you file bankruptcy? And they had, I had 2 credit cards and I had a car repossession. I'm like, so you basically had about what, $25. Like, that's not enough for me for you to do that much damage. Like, that's not warranted. And the reason is because they hear that word, like you said, Tracy, clean slate. And they're like, okay, good. I want to be done with it. And then bam, not realizing that that's actually cutting off your nose, spite your face type of thing.
Well, to answer your question, Tamika, it's not really a bar. We do a means test to see who qualifies. And when my clients come to me, it used to be before pre-pandemic, it was just like a rolling machine. The trustees, the whole environment was like anybody who wanted a bankruptcy could get a bankruptcy. Since the pandemic, there is in the law discretion that the trustee or the judge has to say, you really have enough money. Even though you qualify under this test, you really have enough money to pay your creditors. There is a whole organization that the federal government uses to actually investigate and stop some people who will be taking advantage of the bankruptcy system. So there's really not a bar. It's an overall all-encompassing thing where they look at the financial place of a person to see if they can pay their debt. So depending on when your clients filed, it could have just been a rolling machine, but it's not the climate anymore. You really do need to be a place where.
Right.
Let me jump in here. Let me jump in here because I don't want us to get too bogged down in that.
Uh-oh, I think he froze. Reverend, you froze.
Uh-oh.
You never freeze on a flattering face.
Never.
Never.
Well, I think he was going to June. Are we still rolling?
Yeah, we still rolling.
I think there were some questions that came up. That's where he was trying to go.
This is when we need Nataki.
Right. But I think there was a question asked.
Well, yeah, it looks like Rhea Conley is asking, who do you contact if you want to file
right,
bankruptcy?
we're back.
Ladies,
Okay.
Everybody can hear me?
Okay.
You're back.
Yeah.
Are you
Okay.
back?
We're going back out again. Hold up.
Okay.
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 All right. Hold on, everybody. Let's just pray our way through this one. I don't know what's going on. We're losing that Wi-Fi. We probably coming up on that first hour. It's getting pretty hot. Let me see if I can get through all of these because we do have questions in the comments. In June, you haven't had a chance to share. So I want to talk about, some of our young people may be thinking about starting a business, or people may be mid-career and maybe thinking about launching a business and entrepreneurship. What is your advice to our millennials and our young people about getting started in business? What should they do? And kind of give me a gist of what you think should happen in that regard. So let's hear from June. June, whatever your last name is. I forget it already.
We're not going to do that. Not going to do that, baby. And my name is June Eaton.
Mrs.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't want to get you and Nita's name mixed up. I'm about to call you.
So my name is June Eaton. I'm an entrepreneur and have been for over 20 years, a little bit going on probably 21. I do a multiple stream of things. We have multiple streams of income. But the first thing when you talk about an entrepreneur, you have to be a person who is open-minded, have creativity. You have to have solid people skills. You have to have discipline. You have to be a risk taker. You have to have great work ethics. And you have to be competitive. Everyone on this panel is an entrepreneur in their own right? So every business that they operate, they have taken on a risk to operate a business, taking on a greater financial risk in order to run the business, whether they operate that out of their own, whether you operate that out of your own finances or your own savings, or whether you develop a business plan and you seek crowdfunding or some type of funding in order to fund your business. Most of this panel, I would say, and they can all correct me, I can guarantee that it came out of their pockets. So that's one of the structures you have to decide is what kind of business you're going to operate. Have you done your homework? Who are your competitors? What makes you different? What are your niches? What type of structure will you have? That's getting with your CPAs and your financial advisors, and on what licenses you need to operate that business. So with every business, there are different state and federal laws. And one of the key things I would tell any person is to trademark themselves, brand themselves, and make sure that they have the necessary identity pieces in place. So there's so many things, like from the setup of your business to what kind of organization you're going to have, and then how you're going to operate your business with SOPs, standard operating procedures. So there is like, this is probably a week seminar on how to conduct the, start of a business, because you have to get with people who can help you structure these things. With the state of Michigan, it's called a registered agent that will register your business with the state of Michigan. That helps you establish credibility. Then there is going over to the federal side, obtaining an EIN, which you need to open a bank account, hire employees. So there's that structure. And then you need to grab hold to some type of legal help to help you formulate things so far as procedures and processes that you put in place to make sure that they are legal within the realm of hiring people, right? So there are so many other things that you need in order to set up. And in order to pull off those things.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going to say, what does it take to be an entrepreneur? And then I'm going to jump into these questions. What do you think it takes for people to be a successful entrepreneur? And that's what I want to kind of deal with. What do you think? Can you give me some ideas?
An important quality that an entrepreneur needs to possess is the ability to be creative, the ability to have an open mind on each situation that they encounter, the importance of understanding why they do what they do. One of the things I would say, if you're just going into business to make money, then you probably should not be an entrepreneur. And people will probably frown at that and say, because when you don't make money as an entrepreneur, then you think you failed. But there are success and failures in everyday life of entrepreneurs. And you have to have the motivation and the discipline to be a successful entrepreneur, because there are days when you want to fire your clients, and there are days when your clients will fire you. But you have to have the discipline to get up and continue and be consistent in what you have put your hand to.
Okay. So I want everybody to kind of chime in on that little piece, because one of the ways, how do we begin to help turn around our community? Aaron and Anita and the rest of you all, Nancy, just give me a 1 minute, second, and then we're going to get into these questions. How is this going to help us, in regards to turning around our community? And, as a pastor, I have a vision from God. That's wonderful. But, if you don't have the money here or there, or the people are struggling, you're dealing with people's lives every day, trying to carry that out. That becomes even more difficult from that perspective, because you're trying to help people get their personal finances together, trying to get them to give to the kingdom of God, trying to get the vision done and things like that. And so one of the things I was thinking about is just, people learning to helping people to turn their personal finances around is going to benefit both their family, the community, and things. So I want y'all to kind of give me like a 1 minute synopsis, and then I got a lot of questions, and I'm gonna spend the rest of my time on these questions that's in the chat. okay? Because we got to get to these questions. So I'll jump in with Aaron, and then everybody give me a 1-minute answer on this, what I just talked about, okay?
Here's quickly what I would encourage everybody to do. Is can finances ultimately transform our families and everything and our legacies and what we've understood and known them to be to this point? The answer is absolutely yes. But as we're sitting here, we have to understand a couple of things, that when you're made aware of something new, that's really your first step of the process. So we're going through the awareness phase right now. And some people are really trying to unpack all of what we're talking about. They're taking tons of notes, but they're unpacking. The next thing you're going to do is start trying to process to figure out where do you start. The next step is then going to be to apply, and you'll go through that cycle again. So again, my encouragement is to have people start, and as you're going through this, come out of this with some of the questions to be good at one thing first and not try to do everything at the same time, because then it creates and continues the same narrative where you're frustrated and you say that God can do it for them, but he can't do it for me. Let's not do too much, but let's be aware, process, unpack, and apply, and start again.
All right. I love that, Aaron. You work on one thing at a time. All right. Let's see. Nancy, come on, jump in. Give these people one idea that you think they need. Then we're going to answer some of these questions in the chat.
When it comes to definitely empowerment, financial empowerment, I would strongly say you need to own real estate, whether it's land, a house, apartment building. You need to have some type of ownership in land. And it's generational. So it can be passed down through the generations. I think a lot of times we get into situations where, as Tamika kept mentioning, we're not taught properly. And so in our communities, we don't own, we rent, and we continue to become slaves and stay slaves instead of owning. And so I think that all of the information that is being given tonight will help, if it's applied correctly, will help individuals and family to own your house, own your land. A lot of times that puts you in a better position to make other investments later down the line, because you can then begin to leverage it. Again, this is, I don't want to sound redundant, but it's a whole nother topic, a whole nother seminar, but you can leverage that and then become an entrepreneur, make investments, buy other real estate. You can do different things when you own the land, when you own your property. So definitely worth the investment.
All right. Anita, you want to hit in on this empowerment piece? How can we empower our community and our people? And then we're going to get into some of these questions.
Okay, coming from a tax perspective, I would encourage people to be proactive. One of the things with taxes is that a lot of people try to run and hide from the IRS, and then they get into a situation where it's time for them to complete a deal and they cannot because of back taxes or not filing returns. So a key component of financial empowerment is to ensure that your tax filings are first filed timely, secondly, are accurate and not false. And if you do run into a situation where you do have a tax liability, go ahead and make that payment plan or seek an offer and compromise. But the worst thing to do is to try to avoid it and not deal with the situation. So we have to be proactive. The Bible says, render to Caesar what is Caesar's. So if it's taxes and if we have to pay it, go ahead and pay it. But there are tax deductions and tax strategies that we can look at to actually reduce our tax liability. So it's not something that we should hide from, but actually be proactive and do proper planning so that we can reduce those tax bills. So you can look at some of the billionaires out there that are paying zero tax because they are being proactive in managing that liability. And so as a community, we have to start managing that liability so that it's managed to zero and not run and hide from it and think that it's not going to come, because it always comes when we least expect it, or when we need to get that mortgage, or we need to complete a business deal. We find that we're not able to do it because of a tax situation. So let's make sure that that's not our issue by being proactive.
All right, very good. So Let me get to Lisa. Go ahead and just hit that 1 minute spin on financial empowerment for me, for our community, and for our people.
Yep. I'd like to say that, a lot of people feel that I need money to make money. Of course you do. But my recommendation is that you start with what you have. When I introduced myself, I didn't introduce myself completely. I'm also the author of Candy Girl Mentality, Keys to Turning Bitter Moments into Sweet Success. So it really is a story about a young entrepreneur who took $13, invested it into a case of M&Ms, and turned it into over $4,000 by the time I graduated high school. And so business ownership or being an entrepreneur, June gave us a lot of good information about how to set our foundation up. But one of the things that I took advantage of as a young person and into my early part of my career is that I got involved in multi-level marketing or home-based business. Some of us are maybe familiar with Mary Kay as one of those types of home-based businesses that you can have. That will give you access to different parts of the tax law that Anita talked about from a tax planning standpoint to reduce your tax liability. When you become a business owner, there are more tax deductions that are available to you than you would ordinarily be able to take as a W-2 employee. So my advice in summary would be to start where you are. A small investment can turn into a large sum of money if you manage it correctly, and begin to take advantage of the tax code by establishing a home-based business.
All right, very good. Okay, Tamika, give me that 1 minute summary of financial empowerment you want to give to people, and then we're gonna get to these questions. And I get Tracy in next.
Okay, sure. So my 1 minute is definitely financial literacy. It's a combination of everything we've all said, learning how to budget your money, save. Budget is huge because it all ties into, keeping your credit in a good place. And if you don't budget your money, then you don't have the money to pay your bills properly and so forth. It's like a chain reaction. And then, for us, for our community in particular is, because unfortunately, like I said, we didn't get taught these lessons and these things. So, govern yourselves accordingly, contact a professional like myself or anybody on this panel to assist you with that. Don't be afraid to get the knowledge that you need. And again, it's not hard. It's not complex. Trust me, don't look at it as a bill. Look at it as an investment in your present so that your future can be bright, not only for yourself, but for your families and all your loved ones. Like I said at the beginning of my presentation, that, having a healthy credit score, that literally determines the quality of lifestyle that you are able to have. I know we've pretty much more people than we can imagine. Over 100 million Americans have credit scores less than 600. So we've all kind of have been unfortunately, had the experience of not having so good credit and not having the option to live like you want to live where you want to live, and having to have co-signers and all kind of just madness, or not even being able to acquire land like Nancy was talking about. Okay. If you don't have that together, it's everything is it's like a domino effect. So.
All right. Okay, Tracy, go ahead and give us that 1 minute of financial empowerment you think that we need tonight. I just want to make sure y'all all get y'all 1 minute in. All right.
I think if I had to give an encouraging word on financial empowerment, it would be, don't worry that you've been in a cycle. Don't worry that you stopped and started. Who cares if you tried it and it failed? Right now, as the individual in your household, you should make the necessary improvements and corrections that will help your family. You should take the step and initiative now. It's a great panel here with a lot of businesses that you can tap into. We're all connected through the Lord, and you need to do that. Then once you empower yourself and get yourself on a better financial footing, carry your family along, help your household, extend it out to your loved ones, your distant cousins, and then go into the community. I think financial empowerment is just not for us or just not for the individual, but as you said, Bishop, the community. And if we don't have the community in mind, we'll never get to that point. So that now we have our people, our neighbors, and everybody in a place where we as a community, as African Americans, as believers in Christ, as women, as men, whatever, can now make a bigger impact and difference in the world. It all starts with us making an individual financial change now to make a global presence.
Okay. All right. Let me just do this. I wouldn't be a good bishop if I didn't put some theology in this, because I gotta have a word somewhere in this. And just let me just kind of do this in a summation of what I wrote down. A couple of things that the stewardship of our money as believers is essential, and handling our money in godly ways is important. So let me just give a few things out tonight, and then we're gonna get into these questions. Is that one, theologically, if you study the Bible, money must be obtained honestly, and that's one of the main things you're going to find in the scriptures. I'm not going to go through all of the scriptures tonight, but I just want to hit that real quick. And I think a lot of times we feel pressure to get money, and we do it any kind of way, and then we want God to bless, open doors, and we have not obtained it honestly. And I know that sounds easy, but a lot of times that's not by theft, that's not by fraudulent practices, filing false claims on your tax returns. That's not by unethical loans and borrowing and all of this stuff that we see. That's not at the expense of social and economic justice. And we have to be careful about that. That's an hour right there by itself, with these payday loan lenders and all this stuff in our communities that rob our people of their checks before they even get them, not by extortion, not by oppression, which we have seen too much in our country, where those in power pass laws to keep those without power out of power and out of money. And we have seen redlining going on in our communities over the centuries and over the years. And so all of those oppressive things that are hidden, where your zip code has disqualified you in past for certain loans, or they put ATMs in your community, but they put no bank services in your community. So we have to be careful about all that. And the other thing I think, when you study the scripture, you'll find out is that we should not obtain money at the expense of our health. And I wish I had time to dig into all this. I'm not, but we have to make sure that our physical health as well as our financial well-being is in place as we are pursuing building wealth and things like that. But we are to obtain our money by work and trade and investments, and sometimes, and hopefully in the next generation, by inheritance, that we will have aunties and nieces and nephews that we can leave money to, and our children and things like that. And then money must be cared for diligently. I think this is another principle that we see in the Bible, that once I attain it, how do I manage it? And then the last thing I'm gonna leave you with, my financial empowerment, money must be used in a God-honoring way. And that's what you need to ask yourself at the end of the day, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a worker, am I using my money in a God-honoring way to support my family, to benefit the poor, and of course, for the work of the kingdom? We talked about that. So I'm gonna open up the floor now and let's get these questions, and my social media director is gonna help me get all these questions we got. So let me see which questions I want to answer. Let's go all the way back up to the top of this thing, because I had some questions at the beginning of the stream that I think I need to answer. Yeah. How do individuals get paying off a debt that has been ordered? Okay, that's one of the questions. We're gonna order that. How does an individual let's answer that, get out paying off a debt that has been ordered by the court if they no longer can make payments? Is bankruptcy an option for them, with the court documents being signed by the person promising to pay off the debt? So that's a question for Lady Tracy, I believe, and maybe some of our accountants. Go ahead, Lady Tracy.
I'm sure Tamika has a trick up her sleeve for that. But yes, bankruptcy can be an option. It depends on the document that was signed. So it was a case-by-case basis. Hopefully you did not waive your right to a court or waive away your right under the bankruptcy laws. If that was not given up, then you possibly could file a bankruptcy, but you just can't file a bankruptcy to get rid of a debt. That's a myth. Because you have to be in a predicament where you can't pay your bills, basically, where you need a fresh start, or you've overconsumed, or you're below the median income for the state.
Okay,
So
very good. Put the next question up for us, media people, or I'm talking media people. I ain't got but one person back there. Where I just have vision. That's all. All right. Where's our next question at?
There's a question on the screen about insurance policies. I could touch on it a little bit.
All right, I can't. Okay, I'm trying to see it. My screen is locked. Maybe she can't get it up. Maybe something's wrong. Let me see if I can find. I saw some more questions. Okay. Does anyone have any information on how to get out of a paid timeshare agreement? No longer wish to pay those ever increasing annual maintenance fees. Yeah. Anybody have an idea on that?
I would, each case is going to be a little bit different. Definitely look over your contract. Sometimes they have different clauses that will allow you to get out if you meet certain parameters within that. Sometimes your companies do actually buy the timeshares back. And then if all else fails, sell.
Okay, you say sell. All right, very good. Let's get some more questions answered. What is the best way to improve your credit? Is it by self-education? Are these credit gurus, advertisements trustworthy? So I guess that's a question for Tamika.
Well, yes, I am trustworthy, but that is a valid question because there are many that are not. And the first indication of that, if it sounds gimmicky, then it is. Okay. For one thing, nobody can guarantee you a certain amount of increase at a certain period of time. So if somebody promises you 100-point increase in 90 days or whatever have you, that's so not true, because everyone's credit history is different, is unique, just like your social security number is. So that's definitely it. Self-education. Well, I fashion credit repair to this. People, can you do it? Yeah, you can, because you can write the credit bureaus and so forth. But trying to fix your credit on your own without the professionals to know the law, that know the proper laws to use, is kind of like representing yourself in court. So legally you can do it, but it's not advised. Okay. So if you need more information about that, certainly, contact me, and, myself and our team, I can, give you more information on how to move forward. But certainly you're doing the right thing right now by being a part of this session and getting some information. But again, I would love the opportunity to meet with you privately. So I'm pretty sure they'll put my information in the system here where we can have a private conversation and kind of give you more detailed steps on how to move forward with that.
All right, let me get to another question before we get to this question that's on the screen. Who do you contact if you want to file bankruptcy? And I believe that's Lady Tracy, I think. So we have to put that comment. And then the question on the screen is, and y'all, we're gonna put y'all stuff in the chat so people can reach out to y'all on a personal road. I'm in the process of writing a child's book. I believe that it will be a great way to increase my financial health. After I put the final period on the last sentence, what's next? Somebody want to tackle that?
I can address that. Given that I am in the book writing process, currently it is within the edit process. So my question would be, do you have an editor? And one of the things that I would want to recommend to you is the coaching team that I'm working with personally, who has taken me from the very beginning, when it was just an idea for me to write my book, to where I am now, which is, the book is completely written. It's in edit. I'm currently soliciting endorsements for that book and setting up the system that will allow me to monetize it. One of the things that my coach teaches us is that many people want to write a book, but not many people know what to do to actually monetize it and monetize it to its full capacity. So if you reach out to me, I'm on all social media platforms, Facebook and Instagram. DM me, and then I'll put you in touch with the gentleman who I'm working with that can help you go to the next level.
All right. Let's see if we can get some more questions in here. If you manage to say, is that $2,000 that you invested or hold on to it? Okay.
I'll address that one if no one else wants to. Aaron, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and jump in there. So it all goes back to, you got to begin with the end in mind. You got to count the cost. So the issue we get into with our money is when our money doesn't have an assignment, right? Your money has to have an assignment, because if it don't have an assignment, it will find some place to go. It's like those who do gardening. If you pull a weed up out the ground and you don't put something back into it, you're going to be back out there pulling that same weed again. So the question I would have is, do you have an emergency reserve? Are you prepared for, do you have all your insurances and those things in place? Have you built in the fact that you can actually have some fun if you want to go shopping and get your hair and nails done? So if that $2,000 is just sitting there doing nothing, then you need to start leveraging and looking at going through those 6 steps that Lisa talked about earlier and figuring out how that money can do something for you for a designated purpose, whether it's a European vacation, or you want to buy an investment property like Nancy talked about. Maybe you want to do something in a business. It will then determine on where you ultimately put that money for it to do work for you. But the question is, does that money have an assignment? And if it doesn't, we need to assign it to something.
Okay, and let me kind of chime in on that a little bit too. As far as I don't have a person on for investments, but you got different types of investments that you can make, and some of the simpler investments that you can get into is opening up an ETF and exchange traded fund. You can put that money in there. That's real simple to do. That would be a safe and simple place to start putting some of your money into something like that. If you have a brokerage account, if you don't have a brokerage account set up, we'll talk about. I have some other people who can help you get that set up, because you should have something set up. If you already are pulling out of your 401k and you're already in retirement, and this is another simple way to put money aside without going through a whole lot of things. And I think it's it gives you a good return, but at the same time is safer and better than putting your money or leaving it in, of course, in a savings account. So I've just touched on that a little bit on ETFs, and I think they are a good foundational piece, and we're going to have to talk a little bit about an investment for that in the future, but I appreciate that. All right, let's see if we have any more questions in the chat that we've got to get to tonight, because I want to make sure if you have any more questions. I know this has been a minute online, but we wanted to make sure we give you enough information. Now, what I do want to do is make sure that we put all of our information in the chat box so people can reach out to us. And I'll repeat those 6 steps that Lisa gave. I heard somebody ask that question. We'll get those back out. I thought they were very good steps that she gave at the beginning of this thing. So we'll get those back out to you. And I'll just say that off the top of my head. Earn it, return it, keep it, grow it, protect it, and enjoy it. Okay, can you get out of a bankruptcy if you have been in for 2 years and the bankruptcy company says it's 5 years? Tracy, I believe that's a question for you.
Yes.
Can you get out of bankruptcy?
Yes. The answer is yes. It's probably difficult. You probably can just walk away actually and stop. I don't know what you mean by bankruptcy company. Usually it's managed by the trustee, which is probably an attorney. But if that's who you mean, it's ugly though to get out of it. That's the problem. It's really ugly to get out of it, but you can. And I would suggest that you talk to the company and tell them that you would like to get out of it and get their response. You may contact me also once you have done that, and we can discuss it further more privately. My office number
is 349-5414.
Yeah. Tracy,
Okay.
just for
I didn't.
clarity on that, when she says get out of a bankruptcy, does that mean that you've initiated the bankruptcy process and now you want to say, I no longer want to continue?
No, she's not really talking about a chapter 7. She's talking about a 13, because that's a chapter 7 is done in a matter of months. So,
Okay.
mhm.
Got it.
Okay. I appreciate that clarity, Tracy. All right. We have any more questions that we got to get to in the chat? Because I want to make sure if you, okay, here comes some more questions that I see in the chat. It says, I thought I saw a question here. I'm trying to find them, people. Hopefully they're coming down my computer. I thought I saw another question in the chat. Maybe I missed it. Can we address, Can we address insurance in the? Yeah, I thought I saw it. What was the question? Okay, should you take savings to pay off credit cards? Oh, that's an excellent question. Who wants to tackle that question? Should I take savings to pay off credit card? Because I got credit card debt now that I got my 4 credit cards, but I'm not paying no interest. I'm not paying no. But look at this. Let me just tell them this on this so they know. You know, I said I went to, and this was the power of credit. I understand this, Tamika, and everybody else, is that I went out of town. I went to 3 different states, and I ain't had no money in my pocket, and all I had was my credit cards. I was just amazed at how I could travel to 3 different states and didn't have to have $1 in my pocket. You know, I had no dollars. So now I got to pay the piper because he asked. But I'm good. I'm good. That's the thing they got to know, Tamika. You got to pay the piper when the piper start blowing. All right. So let's answer that question. Should you take savings to pay off a credit card? Who wants to address that?
I'll address it. I would ask, do the credit cards have a high interest rate? Or interest rate that's greater than what you may be earning in your bank account. And chances are, if you don't have a special interest rate for a period of time, like a 0% interest or 1.9% interest, you know, we've all taken advantage of some of those opportunities where you can get a low interest rate for 12 months, 18 months, and then the full amount will become due or start to accrue interest again. So I would say that you would need to evaluate, number one, what the total debt is, what the interest rate you are paying on that. And when you look at your savings, if you don't have a better use for those funds, meaning that not that you're going off to take a vacation, but if you don't have an investment that's going to pay you a greater rate of return than what you're paying on that credit card, then yes, I would develop a plan to eliminate the debt as quickly as possible. So if you can do it in a lump sum, I say, you know, do that, or do it over a period of time, but have a finite time in mind that you want to be able to eliminate that debt.
I would have to say, Lisa, thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I would, and I'm on the opposite end of that. I would say no. I would say try and renegotiate your rate with your credit card company, or as you said, find another credit card company to transfer that to get a 0% interest. But I would never recommend that somebody takes their savings, in the voice of Susie Orman, because I love her. She's one of my mentors. Never, ever, even when the pandemic hit, people were asking that. And she emphatically said, and this is Susie, she don't believe in credit card debt, but she emphatically said, do not go in and take your savings to pay off your credit card. And the reason for that is because that is your nest egg. That's your nestle piece where you need to kind of make sure that you have that, because if you pay your credit card debt off, you lose your job and you can't pay your rent, then you're calling Nancy and she can't get you a house because now you have been evicted. So there are so many turning wheels with that, but I get what you're saying. But I think the first thing would be for that person to go in and try to call their credit card company, renegotiate that debt or reduce that rate or transfer that, because I get an email every day saying 0%. And trust me, I jump on it. I do a transfer. 0%? You gonna give me that? Okay. I don't close, Chase, Tamika. I just
I would like to
But-
chime
but-
in
but
on what
in
she's
order
saying
to-
as
In
well.
order to get that kind of offer, you have to have good credit.
Okay.
And so in that sense, you definitely, I'm sorry, I'm going to go with Lisa on this one.
Yeah.
That I'm not saying that you need to, I would never recommend that you deplete your
Deplete, no.
savings,
Not at all.
but you definitely want to, I would look at that taken from my savings as an investment. I'm telling you, because
Yeah,
guess
I
what?
would call Tracy if that was my case.
No, because
I would. I'm just saying.
you go.
I'm just.
I want to jump in and say this. I
Like
want to
I
jump in.
said, that credit determines your
All
quality.
right,
of
hold on.
lifestyle.
Hold on. I got to get control of my panel here.
I
don't
want to
y'all going off the
jump.
rail.
Okay, I want to jump
Go
in.
ahead,
and say-
Tracy.
Yes, I want to say this in my Aaron Thomason voice. You got to know where you are. You got to know where you're headed. And so every situation is going to be different. And there are some situations where you will need to move the savings. But in my voice of Tamika, you don't want to pay all that credit card off because you need to just only keep it at 30%. And there are some situations where you're going to need to invest it. And so as I believe Anita has said a long time ago, this is a panel that needs days and days of conversation, and probably some of these questions need to be dealt with more individually. But I would say that we would have to be strategic because Lisa and June are both right.
The answer is it depends.
All right.
Comes
You
down to
don't
June's
wanna go
answer.
Okay.
It depends.
I got what you're saying. I hear, let me say this. I hear both of you. And I think, well, we're right. People may have to get individual counseling on that particular situation so we can know more details before we give advice about that, because I think both situations can happen. And I think Tamika is absolutely right. Yeah, you're going to get those offers if you got good credit, to transfer a balance from a high credit card to a 0% interest credit card. Yeah, that makes sense, and not go into your savings. But if you got poor credit and you in debt up to your ears, that's another thing. All right, that's excellent. I love that. Let me see if I have any more questions in our chat that I didn't get. I thought I saw some. Is investing in an Airbnb property a wise thing to do at this time? So let me get, I guess, my realtor on that. Nancy, you want to take that, or
Yeah, I'll take it.
what do you think about?
Go ahead.
With
the Airbnbs, you need to check with your city and zoning and everything first. Yes, it's another stream of income. So from that aspect, definitely. But not all cities will allow for properties to become an Airbnb. So that would definitely be a call that you need to make before you consider doing that. But with the Airbnbs, what a lot of people don't realize, if you're using your primary residence, meaning a property you have a homestead on for your taxes, it will affect your taxes. So if you are using a room over the garage, if you have an attached garage, if you build out a space over your garage and you make that into an Airbnb, instead of the homestead rate being 100%, it could possibly increase your taxes by 30%. So because you will no longer qualify for 100% homestead credit when there's Airbnb leasable space on your property. But from the financial aspect, if the city is on board with it being an Airbnb and you can get approved for it, then yes, but just keep in mind that your expenses will increase because now your taxable value has gone up as well.
Okay. You know what, Nancy, that reminds me of, can I deal with this? I was trying to help somebody in this kind of, and I came across this situation where some of our members are renting property and somebody has bought the property from another state. Now they want to kick them out of the rental property so they can turn it into an Airbnb. And these are the kind of things that, we see people from other states doing. And I don't know if there's really a question there, but just a statement, that, the disempowerment of people to be able to find property, because we got people rushing into there. And a lot of times it affects our people in our own community. So that's just a statement I want to make. Can we do a session for each person on the panel? Okay. That's a Monday question, Taki. We'll wrap that up on Monday. All right. I think that's all the questions I saw in the chat. If I didn't get to your question in the chat, I want to make sure that we have, and I want to give everybody a chance to make sure they ask questions, because I really wanted the second half of this to be just questions and not us just running our mouths. So is there any more questions?
Insurance?
Yeah.
Something about insurance.
Can we talk about insurance and policies like that? So I guess we haven't talked. My other person I was going to have on here is out, so maybe the next time we'll be able to do that. But life insurance, I think they talk. I don't know whether they're talking about life insurance or they talking about car insurance or what insurance they're talking about. But if anybody want to chime in real quick on insurance in general, that you have knowledge of, you want to say something about that, you can go ahead. Nita, you want to handle that? Anything on insurance that you want to talk about that we should know?
I would defer to Lisa.
Yeah.
You may have some information.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Lisa has all the knowledge.
I've been in this space. I'm living it. So as it relates to life insurance in particular, it falls under the protect part of my 6-step process, going from earning to enjoying your money. So when you think about, in the event, we're all going to pass on. And the whole idea, one of the greatest tools to generational wealth building is through life insurance. And oftentimes in our community, we have.
Okay, Lisa, can I stop you right there, Lisa? How
Yes,
so? How is it wealth building? Before we get into the history of it, just get right to the nuts and bolts of that, because I want you to hit that. How can I? Because I hear people saying, here's what I hear people saying. Well, you should buy life insurance so you can build wealth. So how do we do that? What does that look like? Talk to me about that.
So if I use a person, for example, that I started my career with, not Anita, before she thinks I'm talking about her, but no, someone that I started my career with. We were both in our 20s. Financial planner reached out to us about selling us an insurance policy. So when you're younger, you will qualify for a much lower rate to get, let's say, a $200,000 policy. Okay. When you're younger, you don't necessarily have any dependents. You're maybe not even married. However, you have that policy in place. Not only will it serve your beneficiaries in the event of your passing, but if you have a whole life insurance policy that also has a investment component to it, so it's like a whole life variable insurance policy. So on one hand, you're paying a premium toward the policy itself that pays the death benefit, right? But then on the other hand, you're paying above and beyond the minimum cost of that insurance, and that is being invested in underlying securities, right? So like a form of a stock, but insurance companies is a little bit different. And so over the life of your investment in that policy, you're building something called a cash surrender value. Now, where that comes into play during your life, you can actually access the dollar amount of your cash surrender value. You can do a direct withdrawal up to the amount of principal that you paid in, so you can actually use that money. You can borrow from it, and there won't be any tax liability to you. And so life insurance of that type is beneficial to you during your lifetime. And then from a wealth building standpoint for generations is not only will it pay for your funeral expenses, because sometimes people only get a policy that's as much as it would cost to bury themselves, right? However, if you have a $200,000 policy or $250,000, whatever that dollar amount is based upon what your family structure is, or if you want to leave it to your nieces and nephews, you can do that. And this way you're giving them a head start. This way we're changing the trajectory of finances within our community.
All right, very good, Lisa. Thank you. And I see my other panelists who were supposed to be on here trying to jump in on that question. So they can see that in the chat. Somebody did ask about wills, Tracy. I believe this is you. So let me deal with that for a minute, Tracy, because I really want to deal with this. This is what I see, you know, as over 20 years of pastoring. And I mean, just the stuff I've had to help people with in a private setting. I never can say these things on Sunday morning, you know, from actually coming up with money to bury their loved ones, to planning what they're going to do with the stuff that the loved ones have left, going to houses, helping people box up a bunch of clothes and stuff, you know, that mom and dad had left. There's nothing left. You know, where do we get a will? Can you explain the will and the trust? And when should we establish it? We have children. So could you give us some clarity on that real quick? Because I see you trying to put stuff in the chat, but I want everybody to make sure they hear this.
Yes, wills and trusts are two different things. First of all, when you're talking about the end of life, you want to be prepared for the end of life. And unfortunately, Michelle Hearns is not on in regards to the insurance, but all of that is part of your end of life packet. You want the insurance to take care of your burials and things of this nature, to finish out your estate. You want a will or a trust. And you want your last the health and medical decisions to be written out as well. Your durable power of attorneys to say, if you want to be resuscitated at the end of life, what kind of care you want, things of that nature. All of that's a nice little neat packet that everybody should have prepared now, so that their end of life can be representative of their whole living. Now, when we come to wills and trusts, the things about wills, the most important thing about a will is it still has to go through the court system. You don't avoid the court system because you wrote a will. It still goes through probate. If you don't want your people to go through probate and argue over your clothes and your money, do a trust.
Okay.
Historically, African Americans have been afraid of trust because you have to have a trustee, somebody to manage the trust, but you can manage your own trust. You fund your trust with your assets.
All right. So they need to probably reach out to you on that in regards to that, because that looks like a trust needs to be established in regards to that. Okay, panel, I know it's been a long day for all of you all, and I really appreciate y'all being with me today. We don't have to push this all the way to the end, but I just wanted to make sure we got all of these questions answered in this hour, and try to make sure we help empower our people with a little bit more information. So if your information is not in the chat, where people can reach out to you and consult with you, I'm going to reach out to Tamika and see if she can come up with some of this money. I got to pay these credit cards with. Tamika, does credit repair mean I get to get some money?
Really,
I know it does.
yeah,
I
it
know it
does.
does.
Because you get to keep more of it in your own pocket.
All
Listen,
right.
I know we were taught that cash is king, but credit is power, June. Okay. Cash is king.
I know that
credit
is power.
Power.
Let me tell
cash
you.
is king, but credit is the queen.
Let me tell you,
about Chess,
I
the queen,
understand.
she got the power.
No,
how she's going to move on that board.
And let me help you understand about the difference that I understand in the credit world is I can utilize my personal credit, but I've also established my business credit. So I don't have to use my personal credit to buy the dresses and the things that I have. So those are the things that I'm saying about that. And it's like the clarity, right? I had to get clear on the direction that I needed to go in. It didn't happen overnight, but I had to get clear.
I don't mean to bust your bubble, but your business and your personal go run together. You know why? It's only one June Eaton. You only got one Social Security number. Okay, so
that's not true. Legally, that's not true. Legally, that's not true.
But it will come. It has happened. It has happened.
No, ma'am.
Actually, in order, if you are incorporated, they have to do what is called break the glass ceiling. Right. And legally, that is so hard to do.
That's are not incorporated.
That's not true.
Most of us are not incorporated.
That's not true. That's the whole purpose of incorporating.
What are we doing?
Oh. Right. If you're
hold on, everybody. Hold on. Hold on, Tamika, June. Hold on.
Right.
I got y'all. That's awesome. Hold on. We got to make sure we clear on the last thing, because I hear what you're saying. Let me come back and grab the mic. And that is that what you're saying. I hear what you're saying, June. There, when you establish business credit, that's under your business. I hear what Tamika's saying. A lot of people don't have their paperwork in order, and so companies come after both of them. I think that's what y'all both are saying. So we got to make sure all that is legally together, so you have a wall between your personal credit and your business credit. So we need to make sure all of our we just can't talk about we started a business and we ain't filed no paperwork. That's what I hear. And then we get in trouble using our business credit and think they're not going to come after us personally because they're going to jump right over that wall. I got what you're saying. So I think that's important. I just want to make sure the audience understands that and is clear on that.
I don't know.
All right.
You gotta work on that one. So let me just clarify something. When
go ahead.
When you're a corporation, okay, and you are established as your corporation or LLC, when you sign a business credit card, I sign my name by my dream dress, by Luxury Homes Properties. I am no longer tied to that credit card personally. So they can never come after me personally. I don't care what wall it is. They can never come after me personally.
The legal response is that when you set up a company and you set up an LLC, when you set up a company, it by law is a living, literally in the law, it is a living, breathing thing, your company. It takes on the identity as a person. That's why you can be sued. Your company can be sued. When you get ready to sue a major corporation, the Amazons of the world, you're not suing that president. You're not suing the person that founded it. You're suing that company. There is a distinct line between a company, an LLC that's been incorporated, or an Inc. That's just different. Now, if Tamika is saying you're running a sole proprietorship, yes, all that is connected. A sole proprietorship, you and your business are one, period. Absolutely. But it's not a clear line just saying that your company can't have credit or that the two will be intertwined. Just a little clarity.
All right.
And that's what I was trying to clarify.
All right. Thank you so much, Tracy, for that clarity.
Because the specifics make the difference.
All right. Thank you. Let me thank all of you all. I think I thank all of you all for being with me tonight, because we have some of our entrepreneurs who are online. We want to make sure they have their stuff, their ducks in a row. I am the economic chair for the council. I've been doing a lot this year to make sure that our churches and across the city have able to get through the pandemic in that regard. I went to and visit I sat on the Chamber of Commerce panel, and it was very informative. And so I think we've got to really start moving up this financial chain so that we'll understand a lot of other stuff that goes on when it comes to business, establishing businesses in our community. And a lot of people are running businesses out of their homes. And so I'm gonna finish up with that because I gotta get that piece. A lot of people are starting up a lot of businesses out of their homes. I just want y'all to kind of hit on Anita. Maybe you can touch this, and then June you can touch this. And what paperwork do I need to have in place so that some of the things I've seen happen in our community, the IRS doesn't come and say, hey, you didn't pay taxes, or you're not paying your employees, or you're not paying this. And I have seen them come in and shut down total businesses. And when I was running the economic center in the city, we seen that too on a higher level. And it was this is just a disgrace to see it, that people don't have their ducks in a row. So I want you to kind of help some of these young entrepreneurs or people who may be running business out of their homes or out of their vans and out of their trucks. And, they put a sticker on the side of it, and now they're ready. Now they have business owner, but the stuff is not in order so that they don't get in trouble. So Nita, will you hit that, and then I'll get June to hit it, and anybody else who needs to hit that. So, and then we're gonna close out.
Well, once you set up your entity or your business, you do want to make sure that you do have all of your ducks in a row, including payroll. So if you initiate the process for payroll and indicate that you will have employees, then it's very important to ensure that you make all of your payroll filings on a quarterly basis or monthly basis, whichever one that you're required to do. And it's important to pay the payroll tax. So a lot of times what we do as small business owners is try to manipulate the system. So we basically will pay the net amount of payroll, and then we try to borrow it because, you know, things are tight. We're trying to manage cash. So instead of remitting what we withheld from a check, so for instance, we needed to pay the employee $1,000 or $200 needed to go to the IRS or to the state or to some tax authority. Instead of paying that $200, sometimes that business owner will keep it and use it for other means. And so what that does is create a situation where you set yourself up for penalties and interest. So the one thing that you cannot play with or manipulate would be payroll taxes. That's like a no-no. So if you withhold something from someone's check, then you immediately need to remit that over to that taxing authority and not hold that money. So that's like one of the key areas that, or one of the areas that entrepreneurs try to manipulate and manage cash flow. Well, that's not a place where you should try to manage your cash flow. You have to pay that over. You're required to, you have a fiduciary responsibility to make that payment. And if you fail to do that, then you're calculating penalties and interest and things like that, and they will come after you. And those are things that are difficult to eliminate, like through an offer and compromise and things of that sort. The other area would be 1099 contractors. So there's an issue with, is this an employee versus a 1099 contractor? So you really need to sit down with your financial advisor or an accountant to make sure that you properly identify folks in terms of if they are an employee, and if they are, you need to withhold the taxes versus just an independent contractor. And so sometimes we have people that fail to actually file the necessary 1099s or make the proper determination. Well, what happens is that someone may come after the fact, someone that you've paid as a contractor that was really an employee. They may go and file unemployment insurance. So now the state agency is coming after you because they're looking, well, was this an employee or was this an independent contractor? So you run the risk of getting, into trouble that way. So we just have to make sure that we identify the proper regulatory requirements and just meet them so that you can sleep at night, and so that 5 years from now, you don't have this huge bill that's, just accumulated because, you didn't do it right the first time. So I would advise everyone to seek assistance. If you're not aware, then go ahead and make that investment in the financial advice to make sure that you have all your ducks in a row.
Okay. Nita, man, that is so powerful, because one of my favorite little restaurants around here got shut down. And yeah, I used to go there and get my food, and I come back, I said, what happened to my restaurant? And it was black owned. They got shut down. They were paying the employees under the table and were not paying all of the payroll taxes. And so I'm like out of the restaurant. I ain't got my food. And so I'm like, what didn't happen here? So I thought about that as I've been contacting a lot of businesses up and down, of course, this avenue here where we are in the city, but making sure that people in the kingdom, if you're going to establish a business, go ahead and get your stuff straight right. And it may take you a little longer to get to your financial goals, but 5, 10, 15 years from now, the IRS can still come after you. Is that right? And when they come after you, they come after you with all of that back taxes, penalties, and interest. Is that what I'm understanding you say, Nita?
That is correct. And as you've already stated, they can shut you down. So they have full authority, in the earth or the states to basically shut you down. So you want to make sure that you don't put yourself in that position to where they can shut your business down. They can stop contracts in terms of, maybe you want to get a federal contract and you can't because you have some type of, IRS debt or state debt. So that's one area where you need to make sure that you are in compliance.
Okay.
I can't stress that enough.
No, I love it. I love it because one of the things that we've been advocating for, I know I have years ago, is trying to get more of our Black owned business owners. And Ken Harris, I was on with him on a panel of some time back. You know him. He's a very good advocate for Black business. That's what he does all day. And I have to get him on one of these panels discussions with us. Mike can't have his biggest panel, but is advocating that some of our why can't our businesses go to that $1 million level, get those $1 million contracts with the city? And this was one of the things we were talking about, as pastors. And a lot of times they say, oh, they don't have their stuff together. They ain't got this together. The business don't have this, and then what you see is all of this wealth is being created in our cities, and not just in Metro Detroit, but all over. But Black contractors are not able to tap into a lot of times those bigger pots sometimes. And so those are the kind of things that had to be straightened out. I think it's happening better now, but making sure that even if I start a small business, I want to be able to move up that food chain, if you could, and get those bigger contracts and not have somebody come back later and have to shut my business down, or I got a lot of taxes to pay. All right, panel. I tell you, this has been empowering. And I'm going to reach out to y'all. I got my Apple credit card. It's titanium. So I got to get some more on that. Tamika, I just like dropping it. Aaron, they got me good. They're like, oh, it's titanium. I said, ooh, I got it. I got it now. It's too late. I got it. But Tamika told me to stop. No more. So Tamika, I'm good.
4. That's all you need is 4.
I appreciate. Yeah, I got my 4. I'm good. I'm not going no higher, Tamika. And Lady Tracy, I want to thank you so much for helping people understand that we do have a lot of people who just may be embarrassed about filing bankruptcy. They're older. They don't have this together, but you helped us to understand the difference between the different chapters. I didn't even know there was a chapter 12 and whatever the other chapter you mentioned for farmers and all these other chapters. I didn't even know that existed because I never heard that before. So this is the first time I've ever heard about the farmers. So thank you so much for enlightening us tonight with chapter 7, 11, and 13. Nancy, thank you so much for enlightening us, letting us know about real estate. Aaron, thank you so much for bringing us all of the information that you talked about, knowing where we are, getting our mindset together, and being able to move forward. June, thank you so much for being here and giving us the fire we needed. I know I needed somebody on here to go different directions and help us understand what we need to do as entrepreneurs. And I appreciate you and thank you so much for giving us that feedback that you gave us and setting a good foundation for any entrepreneurs who want to grow. Lisa, thank you so much for being with us and kicking us off with those 6 powerful from E to E. And we appreciate that. Anita, thank you so much for being the person you are. And thank you for helping us to understand everything that we are supposed to do with our taxes. And I just want to thank all of you all for hanging in there. I know 2 hours go by so fast. I knew it was going to go by fast. By the time you get a little talking in, you get into some debate on something. I know that can expand into another 4 hours. But we want to make sure, and my job is to make sure that, our people are empowered with information. So I want you to don't just, I think this was Aaron that said this or Tracy, I can't remember which one of y'all said this, but, let's start with some information. I think that was Aaron said that take a piece of it and move and can't get everything done. Here's what I'm gonna work on, and let's get this done so that as we go into these holiday seasons, we don't come out hollering. All right. I'm gonna leave. People go into the holiday season, they come out hollering by January, you know.
They be crying
So,
by January.
yeah, crying.
Crying and
So-
begging.
And begging, yeah. So I tell everybody, Merry Christmas. That's my gift to you. All right. And it didn't cost me nothing to tell you that. And a Happy New Year. All right.
I'm gonna use that one.
All right. Yeah,
I'm gonna
don't
give all
cost
my
you nothing.
my nieces
Happy
and nephews
birthday.
Merry Christmas.
Right. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And so we'll have to do this again sometime later and do some other things so we can do this. But reach out to these people and they'll help you out in various areas. They hope you put all your stuff in the chats. It's 9 o'clock. I want to be a man of my word and end this thing. So let's end with prayer. Tonight, Father, we love you and we thank you for the time we have shared together tonight. God, we thank you for the wisdom that has come through this panel tonight. We thank you for all those who are online and ask their questions, and even for those who will see the replay, God, and may have information that may be passed on to them. God, we pray that you would empower your people financially, that they will come out of all of the bondages that they have, that we break all of the chains in an intelligent, spiritual, and biblical way. And God, give us financial integrity as we move forward so that we can honor your name and give your name glory in all that we do. Bless these people tonight, Father, for taking up their time and pouring their wisdom into the lives of your people. Lord, touch their lives. And I pray that whatever doors they got their hand on, God, that it's the right door, that you open new doors in their lives and help them to prosper in their various businesses and ways. It's in the mighty name of Jesus, our Christ, we do pray. Amen and amen. Listen, I love you all. God bless you. Thank you so much for being with me from everywhere you are. And God bless all of you all. And I will see you next time, because you know I'm going to have another idea somewhere, and I'll put some more stuff together as the Lord gives it to me. God bless you all. Take care. Good night, everybody. Thank you, panel.
Thank you, Bishop.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank
Have
you
a
for
good night,
having me.
everybody.
God bless.
So you think it was